Hello, YouTubers. This is Mr. Jeremy saying, welcome, true believers. Think of time as a big sleep. Think of sleep as being awake. Think about your entire life being one big dream, okay? Think of your dreams being reality. Think of when you're asleep, are you dreaming? Or when you're dreaming, are you really awake? Think about a time machine. Think about the things that you used to do in the past. Think about things that are in the past that are now in the future. How do we make a time machine? We have to make a time machine. Everybody makes mistakes. But what if you could go back to your past and erase those mistakes? Here's what I want to happen. I want a time machine where I can go back to the past as myself so that my past self doesn't see my future self. But think of like you go back in time. What if you go back in time as yourself, but with the knowledge that you have of the time of the future now, which is the present? But if you go back, you'd have to go back as yourself, as who you were then. The same age, same body shape, same body form, everything, but except you have knowledge of the future, which is now the present. So you go back to the past. But think about this. Think about dying and death. What if death and dying is like a dream that you have? When you're asleep, you have all kinds of dreams. You dream that you can fly. You dream that you find treasure chests full of old toys. You dream that you can go back to the 80s and go into the stores and buy all your He-Man figures and G.I. Joes at the same price they were then, only that they are now. Think about this. Think about in 1985, a He-Man figure cost about $5. Okay, a G.I. Joe cost about $3 or $3.99 in some places. Think about a vehicle, a G.I. Joe vehicle may cost about $12 then, which costs about $20 now. Think about your past before you think about the future. And what part of your past would you like to go back and change? Me, I wouldn't go all the way back to 1985. I would like just to go back to 2001. If I go back to 2001, think about how my life would be affected today. Now here's the thing about time travel. You can't interfere with anybody else's life. Let's say somebody in your family died, okay, and you know how they died. They died in a car accident, for an example, which in my case, this is the truth. You can't go back in time and tell the person what's going to happen to them. You can't do that. That's one of the rules of time travel. Another rule is that you cannot go back in time and bring stuff back from your past into the future. Say, for an example, you had the most favorite toy, the toy that you cherished when you were a little kid. You can't go back to where you were a little kid and grab that toy and take it back into the present, which is the future, which is now the present. And here's another thing you can't do. You can't write down sports statistics. Remember the movie Back to the Future Part 2 where he buys that book and that's about all the sports statistics from the 80s up until the year 2015 where he was in the future? You can't do that. You can't do that. That interrupts the timeline. Everything that was supposed to happen to everybody else should happen. It should be the natural course of things. But some of the things in your past that you can change, the little things you can only change. If you have a baby right now, you can't go back to the past and not have that baby. He or she was meant to be born. You can't take that away from them. But think about this. Think about if you were destroyed. Let's say you went out in the street and you beat up some cop, and they arrest you for beating up on a police officer. Now that was stupid. You shouldn't have done that. That was a very dumb thing that you did. Now you can go back in the past and change that. But if you took away a life or you gave life, you can't change that. That's something that you cannot change. That's a rule of time travel. Other than that, you can change little things that happen to you. Like, let's say one night you went out and you got drunk and you got real sick and threw everything up. You can go back to the past and change it to where you didn't get drunk. Or maybe you said things that you regret later. You can go back to the past and change some of the things that you've said to certain people. Now, I don't know how I'm going to invent a time machine, but I will invent a time machine. And when I do, I will be able to go back to the past and just change certain aspects of my life that should be right. The ones that should be right will be wrong. Now, like I said before, you can't prevent somebody from dying, but if you want to go back to the past and talk to that person, let's say somebody died, and you said to yourself, oh, I wish I would have spent more time with that person before they died, or I wish I would have got to know that person a little better. You can do that. You can go back and spend more time with them before they pass away, but you can't prevent death. You cannot stop death. You cannot stop life. That's just the general rule of time travel, which I'm sure you're all aware of from watching many Back to the Future movies. And if you made a bad financial mistake, you can go back and correct that. You can go back and correct financial mistakes. Or say you bought a bad candy bar on that day, you can go back and repurchase it, whatever. But like I said, you can't bring anything back with you. And that's all the rules of time travel that there are. So, again, like I said before, I will invent a time machine. I will think of a way to go back to the past, and when I do, I'll come back on here on YouTube and I will tell you guys how to do it. It's very simple, really, when you think about it. And Superman, he went around the Earth. He actually slowed the rotation of the Earth down and reversed the rotation of the Earth. I don't think time travel works that way. It'd be great if it did. Then we could invent some kind of laser that could pull the Earth backwards using its natural gravity against it. But that might cause problems beyond that, of which we could not even possibly begin to understand. So for now, that possibility of time travel is eliminated. But, however, if we could figure out a way to speed things up at the speed of light, if we can somehow manipulate the speed of light, or use some sort of wormhole effect, then maybe somehow we can think of how to speed up time. Now, as far as going backwards in time, I don't know if that's possible. But now scientists have figured out a theory that Einstein figured out a long time ago of how your molecules can actually reverse themselves. Anyway, that's for another discussion, another time. As you can see, my time is running up. It's 10:16, 10:17, now 10:20, and I must stop the taping. And good night, YouTube. Good luck, and go Cards. Do 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 do.